I work as a pizza delivery driver. Some deliveries have red flags for special rules. I should have known the delivery job was a bad gig when the guy hired me without looking past my name on my resume. He squinted at the paper and said, "You're hired, Dino." He pronounced it Dino. "It's actually Dino," I told him. "Like dinosaur." He glared at me. Rough-looking Italian type who probably kept a baseball bat under the counter and would pull it out if annoyed by moody teens. Squinted hard at my shirt, which was wrinkled, and said peak mediocrity. He grunted. "Honesty. I like that. Thanks. Are you good at following rules?" "I am mediocre at. There are some rules you have to follow. For safety. Others I can let slide. I don't give a damn if you smoke weed in the car or show up a few minutes late. But if a rule is written on a red flag on the box, you follow it." I hadn't even committed to accepting the job yet. Also felt a bit called out at his weed in the car and few minutes late comments, though I guess the peak mediocrity shirt did give a certain vibe. Before I could ask him about wages, or hours, or these red flag rules, he grabbed a pizza off the counter, put it in my hands, and pointed to a set of keys on the wall, telling me to take the delivery car. The address was only a few blocks away. The red note on the pizza box said, "Close your eyes when you reach the address. Put the pizza inside on the table. Do not open your eyes." In his hand, the boss was holding a $50 bill. He held my gaze, the bill held toward me. I looked at him, looked at the red flag, looked at the bill. I took the bill. "Got it," I said. "Eyes closed when I arrive." "No problemo." It turned out to be a big problemo. The address was so close I didn't even really need the delivery car, though I took it anyway because he said it was tricky to find, but the car's GPS would help. Even so, I circled the block 3 times before the house seemed to materialize out of the dark, like I'd just overlooked it before. It wasn't big, just a small place tucked in the middle of an urban center, like it should have been bulldozed and replaced by high-rises ages ago, but the owners never sold. I walked up the gravel walkway to the front door and put on a blindfold to help me obey the instructions. Then knocked, keeping my eyes closed beneath the blindfold. "Hello," said a little kid's voice as the door opened. "Pizza delivery," I said. "Oh. Great. Thank you." I waited for the child to take the pizza, but it was still in my hand. I frowned. Are you going to?" "Why are you wearing a blindfold?" asked the kid. Boy or girl, I couldn't tell. The high-pitched voice sounded about 8 years old. "Because I want to," I said. "Why?" "Trade secret." "Are you gonna take this pizza or what? Can you put it on the table?" I was about to ask the kid to just take it when I remembered that putting the pizza on the table was part of the instructions. I considered just opening my eyes and forgetting the rules. But I was being paid $50 to follow them, so I said, okay. "Can you tell me which way the table is?" "It's straight ahead of you." I almost tripped stepping inside over the threshold, but caught myself and moved forward, feeling around awkwardly while the kid giggled and said, "Warmer, colder, colder, warmer, hot." And then, when I ran into a wall, "Just kidding, it's to your left." "No, other left." This fucking kid. I cannot tell you how badly I wanted to open my eyes. It felt incredibly silly, holding them shut the whole time. Finally I found the fucking table and set down the pizza. But by now, I'd lost sense of direction. I inwardly groaned as I heard myself ask, trying not to let my exasperation show, "Which way is the door?" The kid giggled. More groping around in the dark, to the constant teasing and the demand I just peek and look around. I was seriously tempted, but by this point it was just a battle of wills. I spent 5 minutes uselessly following the kid's circular directions before I wised up and went straight until I hit a wall, then groped along it until I found a door. The door opened to another room in the house. I could tell because the carpet continued inside. And also by the smell, which was sour. Rotten. Just a whiff was enough for me to shut the door and wrinkle my nose. I continued to feel along the walls, and finally I found the door to the fresh outdoor air. I was stepping down when... Wait. I forgot. Mom and Dad said to give you a tip. A tip. Greed waged a battle against better judgment. As anyone who knows me can guess, greed won handily. I turned back around and held out my hand. Here, said the kid. I felt a crumpled bill graze my fingers, but it fell to the ground. Oops, said the kid, as I swore and dropped down, feeling around. I grabbed the bill, quickly pocketed it, and felt my way out of the house. Bye, said the kid. Enjoy your pizza, thanks for the tip, kiddo, I said. Then I turned away, taking several steps before opening my eyes to the street and running. Took off my blindfold, dove into my car, and sat there panting, wondering what the hell had just happened. The moment the kid dropped the cash, I'd bent down to snatch it, feeling around on the carpet. But just for a split second, in reflex, my eyes had opened behind the blindfold. Just enough for me to see through a gap beneath the bottom of the cloth. And I'd glimpsed the crumpled bill next to the hairy toes and large foot of an adult man. Not a 7 or 8-year-old child. I'd shut my eyes while the kid voice came out of whatever adult body that was and said, oops. And I pretended to still be blind. When I got back to the pizzeria, I finally checked the wadded up bill and it was a $70 total, and I'd spent about half an hour, though it had felt like a lot longer, that I was playing blind man's bluff with that fucking kid, man. The boss said, next one's ready for you, without looking up from the dough he was kneading, and I just stood there, staring at the pizza on the counter with the slip of paper on top of it. At my prolonged silence, he finally glanced over and gruffly said, you followed the rules, right? Yep. Ish. The fuck's a yip-ish? He glared. You either did or you didn't. These rules, what happens if you don't follow them? I asked. He sighed. Go home. Wait. Go home. I can't have employees who can't follow simple. I followed them. It's just a question. I'm just wondering, why the odd rules? Why you had me deliver a pizza to a little kid while keeping my eyes closed? Instead of answering my question, he heaved a long sigh, shook his head, and said, Dino, let me tell you about the last pizza delivery gal I had. She had a delivery to an apartment. Simple rules. Door will be unlocked. Leave the pizza on the coffee table. Touch nothing. Take nothing. But she took something. So, she stole. I said. From this apartment. Yeah, I guess you could say that. He looked a bit deflated. She didn't mean to, but that's how the client took it. Anyway, she doesn't work here anymore. The way he said doesn't work here anymore was the way you'd say my condolences. I was gonna ask him more, but he gruffly turned his back and grabbed a shirt off a rack and handed it to me. Your uniform, since you're determined to stay. It's an extra large, but an oversized shirt is probably okay for a tomboy like you, yeah. I'm not a tomboy. People mistake my lack of fashion for tomboyishness, but in fact I am just much too lazy to perform femininity. I pulled the oversized t-shirt on over my peak mediocrity shirt, and I could have fit 3 of me comfortably in here. The boss gave me a thumbs up and lied that I looked great and handed me the next pizza and said, just pay attention to the red flags. Pay is good. You can last a long time here. But you gotta follow the rules. I looked at the pizza box. On it was a red flag with the simplest of instructions, door will be unlocked. Leave the pizza on the coffee table. Touch nothing. Take nothing. The job that got the previous girl fired? Challenge accepted. mainly due to the $100 that was also in his hand. And the fact the address was only a 15-minute drive. While driving, I had some time to reflect on my life choices. And on whether accepting this sketchy gig was really a good idea. Not that I had many options, with rent due and my parents telling me they couldn't keep sending me money if I couldn't keep a job. If you're wondering why anyone is named Dinosaur, because yes, that is my full name, Dino is a nickname. It's because my parents are hippies who believe kids should decide their own identities and asked me at age for what I wanted to be called. Honestly, when I chose the name Dinosaur, that should have been an indication to my folks that I am not up to the task of making my own decisions and living with them. And that's what I was thinking about, my not-so-stellar decision-making abilities, when I pulled up to the address on the note, and it was this creepy-ass motel where all the rooms were completely dark except for a single lit window. If I were a serial killer and gonna hide a body at a motel, this is the one I'd done it at. Briefly, I considered pocketing the $100 and running. Just not delivering that pizza and not showing up for work. I looked at the note. Door will be unlocked. Leave the pizza on the coffee table. Touch nothing. Take nothing. Okay, Dino, I told myself. Come on. Even you can follow directions this simple. I got out of the car, snatched up the pizza, and headed up the darkened stairs, the metal steps resounding under my boots. Walked out along the walkway, counting the rooms, shining my flashlight to see the numbers because again, this place was pitch dark, all except that one lit window. And of course that was the one that matched the address. Room 213. I knocked. No answer. I knew I was supposed to go in, but I was irrationally, or totally rationally, nervous. After waiting a few seconds, I tried the door, and it swung open easily. I wasn't prepared for what was inside. I stepped in, to my own apartment. It made no sense. This was my shitty little studio, exactly the way I'd left it this morning. In the far corner, my unmade bed on the floor, right down where my expectations tend to be. My dishes were in the sink in the tiny kitchen, starting to smell pretty bad because it was day 3 of avoiding them. I could and definitely would make the stack higher though. Beside the door was the trash I forgot to take out that morning. I could have taken it right now. Touch nothing. Take nothing. I stood there, holding that fucking pizza box in my hand, looking at my own apartment. Was this a joke? A test? A delusional episode? Was I high? I tried to remember if I was high. Didn't think so. I stepped inside, walked over to the coffee table with this morning's plate still with crumbs on it and half a can of an energy drink. Set the pizza down amid the mess and stepped away. And I realized it wasn't quite my apartment. Close, but not exact. That was a different plate on the coffee table. A generic white plate, not the exact chipped one that I always used that I got at a thrift store as part of a set. The dishes in the sink were similar but not my exact dishes. The coffee table was the same brand but newer, not the free one I'd pulled off the curb. It was like someone took a picture of my apartment and recreated a slightly more generic version of it. But it wasn't my home. Weird. Creepy. I had a lot of questions for my boss. But at least I knew it wasn't actually my place. I was about to leave when I saw it. And this time, oh, this wasn't a replica. It was the urn that held my dog's ashes. Literally the only thing in my apartment I cared about. All I had left of Daisy, with the handwritten messages from me and my siblings saying goodbye. I had every loop and swirl of our handwriting memorized. Whoever this customer was, they'd taken this urn from its sacred place on the electronics cabinet next to the router and PlayStation. Look, it's a small apartment. But it was mine. I started to reach for it, then I stopped. I kid you not, I thought I heard a dog bark outside. Anyway, the dog barking was enough of a distraction for me to remember the red flag. And did I really need that urn to sit on my shelf? How long would it live there? The rest of my life? And did Daisy even care at this point? No, of course not. Daisy, when she was alive, would have given it one sniff and ignored it, so perhaps it was time to pay attention to the red flag and step back outside. Maybe the dog barking was a sign I should leave it. So I stepped back outside, closing the door of my fake apartment behind me, and headed back down the metal stairs. I was approaching my car when footsteps brought my head up. "Hey girl," rasped a voice behind me. I turned around. The girl leering at me wore a t-shirt with the same pizza delivery logo as mine. She was about my age, but her skin had a grayish, mottled color. She definitely smelled, even at a distance, like something rotting. Around her neck she wore a choker necklace made of some sort of black, spiky material. Dino, wasn't it? You might make it longer than the last girl. She held something in her hand, the urn with my dog's ashes. But as she held it up, it blurred and unfurled into something black and spiny. It looked like a necklace similar to the one she was wearing. She winked at me and said, "Do me a favor, since you have this chance. Get a uniform in your size. I prefer to look good when I wear someone new. Oh, and don't always trust the boss. There's a red flag for him, too." I got out of there quick. Now, I'm sitting in a parking lot in a delivery car, and I'm trying to decide if I should head back to work. Obviously I need to return the car, but beyond that, should I just quit? I still need rent money, but after meeting the previous girl, maybe moving back in with my parents is the better option. Maybe I'll do just one more delivery. If I don't update, might mean I'm saying hi to Daisy again sooner than I.